Guys, we are craving for a specific dish today, and we're going to bring you to one of our favorite spots to have this dish. The catch is, it's not located in Kuala Lumpur. So,
fellow passenger of the Gourmet Plate, please fasten your seatbelt. We are going on an adventure.
Hey now, honey, I've been driving around in my car, looking for some kind of open bar. It's gonna be alright, Got no money, but I'll work it out with my charm.
After 45 minutes of driving, we are finally in Klang. Good day, foodies. I'm Wei Lun.
I'm Quet.
Welcome to the Gourmet Plate.
I go film first, bye.
Okay. While Quet is filming for us, let me cue you in on the details of the town of Klang. Klang is a port town that is located in the state of Selangor. It's relative to Kuala Lumpur. It's on the southwest side, and it is known for Bak Kut Teh, which is a pork bone in a herbal savory broth served with rice. And today, we are having KL Hokkien Mee. I know you're probably weirded out by why we are not having Bak Kut Teh for this episode, but we are having Hokkien Mee, which is from Kuala Lumpur. But trust me guys, this particular spot we are going is some really good KL Hokkien Mee. For those of you who do not know, a quick introduction on Hokkien Mee. It's basically a stir-fried noodle dish in a black sauce that is laden with pork lard and a lot of other ingredients such as hot pieces, some prawns, and some cabbage. It is an absolutely delicious dish, and for us personally, our favorite one seems to be fried up in Klang by this restaurant called Kai Ki. Alright, I think that is enough context. Let me quickly go and help Quet with the filming so we can start eating. See you guys in a bit. So right behind me is the boss who is frying his Hokkien Mee in charcoal fire or charcoal stove. And it's really interesting. You're gonna watch the way he does it, how he just fries up the noodles and then puts on the cover to basically allow the noodles to steam for a while to bring that flavor in, let the flavor infuse in the noodles. And then after that, when it's all ready, he pours it on a plate, puts on all the beautiful pork lard. And this is basically a family-run business. You can see that the younger son, I believe, he's the one who is in charge of frying the KL Hokkien Mee. And the father is in charge of frying up the bee hoon, the sing zao mai. And the mother is in charge of frying the toy tiu, which is the Ki Kong Ho. And this steaming pot right behind me is where they prepare another signature dish of theirs, the steamed lala in Chinese wine. And there's this other brother who is in charge of this. You can see that he's got this signature move of his that's sort of like salt bay. So after the lalas are all steamed and ready, he takes it out, he sprinkles on some of that beautiful fried garlic, and then he will salt bay all the shaoxingjiu, the Chinese wine, into that plate of beautifully steamed lala. That just makes me very hungry. And without further ado, I think we're going to go ahead and order first before it gets too late because the people are starting to pack up. It's now, I think, nearing like 7 o'clock. We're going to lose some sunlight here. Let's go. Alright guys, slight change of plans. Originally we were just going to order some noodles and the steamed lala, and the owner suggested that we try out their fried stuff as well. So we got here some deep fried chicken wings and some zha yok. Yeah, pork belly. I think we should just get the fried stuff out of the way first before we go with the lala, their signature lala. So let's try the deep fried pork belly first. Dip it into that chili sauce. Oh, you can taste the pork flavor, and it's still crispy, and there's this flavor, fermented bean curd, right, Ami?
Surprisingly, it's not too salty. You can eat just like this.
Yeah. The chili sauce is a simple type of chili sauce, you know. If you want, you can just eat the pork on its own. If not, you can dip it in chili sauce. It gives you that mini sweetness, very little spiciness.
Let's try the chicken wing.
Okay, I'm going to just use my hand and grab the chicken wings. It's easier to eat that way.
Smell good?
Yeah, it does smell very fragrant. Okay, anyway, let's just begin. Succulent, juicy, pretty salty though. But there's this umami. Chicken is very well seasoned.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Oh, and the cartilage over there. All the flavor. And I like how the fat on the skin is sort of rendered into the flesh down to the bone. Absolutely finger-licking good. For those of you who have been watching us, do you remember I told you that Quet doesn't eat fatty parts? Fried chicken wing is the exception. And this one is pretty good, I gotta say, it's pretty good. Yeah. I'm gonna dip some of this chili sauce and try it out as well. Okay, I'm super excited, let's go, man.
Wow.
Oh, the chili sauce is sort of like, it's a Thai chili sauce. It's more watery, not that much viscosity. It's sweet. Again, it's mainly a sweet with a little bit of tang flavor. Not very spicy. In fact, I would say it's barely spicy. But the chicken is really done quite well. This is one of the more decent chicken wings that we've had. Guys, sincere apologies. I think we made sort of a screw up. We should have started with the lala first. By the way, lala is white clam. Over here, this we call sapak, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
correct.
And yeah, now it's no longer piping hot, but it's still sort of warm. So anyway, let us try the broth first.
The broth is made out of the chicken broth and the essence from the white clam.
The flavor of the Shaoxingjiu is so strong.
And the ginger, the spicy from the ginger and chili. Yeah.
And it's so light tasting. The main flavor is just the ginger's flavor along with that Chinese wine. And then the backdrop is that sort of umami. You can't really tell it's chicken broth. It's sort of more like a seafood based kind of umami. I think that is the essence of the white clam. So we're gonna just dive in and try that clam right now because it just looks cooked to perfection. Yep. Beautiful. A bit of bounce, a little bit of chew. Yeah, not too chewy. It's cooked just right, lah. It's really cooked just right, and it's definitely fresh. You could taste the clam's flavor, like the clam's mild sweetness, but you don't get any of that bitterness stuff. You don't really get that. Clam is pretty good.
And when you eat the clam with the broth, it gives you the broth umami. You could even taste the garlic fragrance.
Yeah, there are bits of garlic in there that was sprinkled on. Oh, this is addictive. So the boss told us that there is a way to eat this lala with some vermicelli, and this is basically only ordered by the regulars here. You get some of this vermicelli, put in your bowl, and then you pour some of the broth on, and then you put that pork lard onto this bowl of vermicelli. Apparently it's going to be very tasty, so I'm going to try this out right now. All of this. All of this. The vermicelli is so bouncy, and all that spiciness from the ginger, the Shaoxing wine, all that umami, it carries it in your mouth. And that pork lard.
Yeah, together with the pork lard.
Yeah, because the pork lard is not like the ridiculously heavily flavored one. It's actually quite, in a way, lighter. So when it's paired with this light broth, oh, you could taste all that umami, that pork oil, the essence of the pork oil, that umami just bursts in your mouth together with that light base noodle broth. Okay, one thing to note though, guys, because this is laden with pork lard, basically the pork lard makes it really flavorful. So it's sort of a dish that you don't eat too often, unless you want to get a heart attack lah. But anyway, we're done with appetizers. It's time to order the main course. Yao,谢谢。Guys, this is the Yukong, which is sort of a Cantonese style fried kway teow. And why it's called Yukong is because they beat a raw egg right in the middle, and it looks sort of like the moon. Yeah, so we gotta need to stir this up before we eat this, and it is just served up really hot and piping. The steam is crazy, and the fragrance, my god, it's a very nice fragrance. Okay, let us dive right in. Kway teow is fried slightly wet. The kway teow is cooked very well. Al dente, chewy. This is what you see in Dai Cao stores like this. The kway teow is very different from the hawker chai kway teow. It's more of a smooth, velvety, slightly chewy, kind of very slurpable kway teow.
It It's so fragrant and could taste the soy sauce sweetness and the umami.
The pork pieces, they're tender, could be a little bit chewy. And I noticed they actually provide you with this we call jigong, which is pork liver.
It provides you the texture, mushy with some bite.
Yeah, of course that pork liver's own like slight bitterness, we call it the umami. All the ingredients are pretty fresh. That pork lard, it elevates everything it touches. It's like the Midas hand, wherever it touches turns to gold. If I were to nitpick, I would say the wok hei is not strong enough. It's a little bit too mild. The flavors are very decent though. It's very well balanced. And I quite like the way it was fried a little bit wet. It's very slurpable. When you mix the egg, it gives you that maybe extra velvetyness coated onto the char kway teow. Alright guys, this is the true main course, the main reason why we are here. Hokkien Mee. I gotta say this time round, the boss is really generous with the pork lard. Yeah, normally when it comes, it's not that much, I'll be honest. This time it's just laden, like showered with pork lard. Anyway, let us quickly just dive in because it's like smoking hot right now. Oh, beautiful. As good as I remember it to be. There's a moderate amount of smokiness that wok hei is there. Not the strongest, but it's there. The noodles are cooked very well. It's balanced very well between not being too wet and not being too dry. Every noodle is very slurpable. Al dente, a bit of chew. And the black soy sauce. I think that's the key ingredient.
The bitterness.
The soy sauce is good, guys. Bitter, sweet, and then you got the saltiness probably from a light soy sauce. And that pork lard, it really brings you up to the next level. That pork lard is so important. Make sure you get a bite of that pork lard in every mouth of your Hokkien Mee.
And the veggie. I would say the veggie is a plus point here.
Yeah.
You will taste the crunchiness and some veggie juicy.
It's not like over fried. I would say it's done very well. It's as good as I remember it to be. When you first take a mouth, it doesn't blow you away like instantaneously because you are probably expecting like a very strong wok hei. But it's not very strong, it's there. But after that, the flavors come in like a slow wave, you know. It comes wave after wave. Oh. And then the reality hits where you're like, yep, this is a good plate of Hokkien Mee. As usual, the ingredients are fresh.
Well cooked.
There's fish cake. Fish cake is pretty good. Prawns are bouncy. The liver is nice. Pork pieces, I would like them to be a little bit more tenderized. A slight tad chewy. But man, I actually like Hokkien Mee a lot. KL Hokkien Mee. But for me personally, or for us, I think it's difficult to get really good Hokkien Mee now in KL. And I will still come to this spot. And I'm glad that they maintain this standard because we haven't been here in a long time. Since the lockdown in Malaysia where you cannot travel in state, we have not been here until now. And I'm really glad they kept up their quality here. It's really important to me. I'm gonna try a bit of their chili sauce that goes with this Hokkien Mee. Give it a good mix. Yeah, this just reminds me, the chili sauce is very unique in a way. It's similar like a sambal, but it's got a bit of, mainly it's sweetness, and then the spiciness comes after. I think it's like a mixture of shrimp paste inside as well. It feels almost like a Chinese version of sambal belacan.
Yeah, some saltiness.
And if you think this noodle is a little bit too bitter for you because of the dark soy sauce, you could add the chili in and you will neutralize much of the bitterness. So yeah guys, we're gonna finish this up if we can. If we can't, we'll probably just take them away, take out. So see you guys in a bit for plating time. Okay guys, I think this is the place where you come for a really huge meal. Bring some friends, bring your family. Because after you eat, you just want to lay back and just to relax for a while.
Yes,
to let the food
ready for
digest.
sweat.
Yeah, it's pretty hot here as well. Yeah. So, what do we think about Kai Ki? let's talk about the fried stuff first. I think the fried chicken wings are done pretty well. Yeah, absolutely recommended. The lam mi zhao you, the fried pork is also pretty decent. If you are here with a big group of friends, you can order as an appetizer.
And I like the yukong ho because the flavor is not so heavy. It doesn't bog you down, and it has enough flavor between the sweet and salty.
It's actually pretty easy to eat in a way.
Yes.
Okay, if you're just coming like just one person or with just a friend, the must orders are definitely the steamed lala in Chinese wine and the KL Hokkien Mee. The steamed lala is very good. It's just really fresh lala. It's cooked perfectly, and all that spicy ginger flavor and that umami from the wine. It's addictive, trust me, it's addictive. And definitely, guys, ask for the vermicelli and get that pork lard. It's crazy good. As for the KL Hokkien Mee, because it's fried in charcoal, the smokiness is sort of there. And I would suggest you let it cool down a little bit for the flavors to present themselves. I think the key point lies in the dark soy sauce. It's really very umami. Everything just balances very well. It's very harmonious. And I'll go out on a limb here and say that it is the best Hokkien Mee that we'll try, which is why when we want to eat Hokkien Mee, we actually come all the way to Klang instead of eating in KL. Yeah. So with that being said, restaurant Kai Ki scores a half a plate on the gourmet plate, which means it is some high quality culinary right there. Absolutely recommended. If you love to eat steamed lala or lala bee hoon and KL Hokkien Mee, definitely don't to try. They are really worth it. I think it's worth the 45 minutes drive, guys. Yeah, absolutely. Try them out. Alright guys, I think that is it for our food vlog for the week. This was a really spontaneous decision. Originally, we did not plan to film this place yet, but here we are because we are greedy people and we crave for KL Hokkien Mee.
And the steamed lala.
Yeah, the steamed lala. So, hope you enjoyed this food episode. If you enjoyed this food vlog, do consider giving us a thumbs up. If you're yet to subscribe, do consider subscribing and hit that notification bell button. Till we meet again next time. Bye-bye.